Okay, so big news today. Extremely big.
Oh, yeah, I got you. I'll start off with the big news. Now, let me tell you the big news. Brad Wanamaker is on the Charlotte Hornets, everybody. Brad Wanamaker has been traded. Okay.
I'm sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our sports talk. So we're changing things up a little bit. So our new sports talk will now be called Pass the Mic.
Sports podcast.
Sports podcast. Big Mike actually came out with the name. I thought it was also a pretty good name. I just want to make a sponsorship.
No. Put your bum ass glue stick.
So, big news today. The NBA trade line, NBA trade deadline has passed, and there are some big trades today. So, the Orlando Magic has fully blown up things. They are in full-out rebuilding mode. They made some serious trades today. The first big trade today was Nikola
Vucevic.
So he's there. So he basically was their franchise player. He's a center, if you guys didn't know. He's one of the most underrated players in the league. The main players that were traded between. So obviously he was traded to Chicago for Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round draft picks. The Chicago Bulls made a great trade. That was an amazing trade for them. I think it will be a great pairing for Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, Patrick Williams. Very solid team. They have a very solid team now. I was shocked by the trade. I didn't think that the Chicago Bulls were on it. I saw some rumors that the Magic were floating around him, but in trade rumors, but I don't think they were serious in moving him because I heard that the asking price was too much and teams were hesitant. So this is an amazing trade for the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls are fighting for a playoff contention. I think they're within like the eighth seed in the in the standings. So amazing trade for the Chicago Bulls. Shout out to that management. They finally made a big move to pair with Zach LaVine because Zach LaVine, as we said in before videos, has been completely going off for that team. He's literally essentially their franchise player. So amazing trade for the Chicago Bulls.
All right, listen, in terms of this whole trade situation that happened today with Orlando, rather yesterday because we're recording this, I'm really happy about the Orlando Magic doing this. This was a long time coming, and it took way longer than expected. But them trading Vucevic was something that they had to do. There was no question about it. The Orlando Magic, they've always been like that same situation. Like I always talk about it. Like the Pacers are always there, always in the middle of the pack doing jack, And then like you're just sitting there, you're like, bro, when are you guys gonna do something? Last time you guys were doing something was when Dwight Howard was on your team. And where's Dwight Howard now? Bro, like he's good, but like whatever, it's not relevant. He's like licking butts or something like that. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Shout out Dwight Howard. I'm telling you, these Orlando Magic trades, I'm really happy that they're finally doing them. They're obviously going to be terrible next season with the team that they have now. But getting Wendell Carter Jr. is honestly a good pick. I think that from the start, Wendell Carter Jr. is a good player. He just needs he needs a little bit of more time to develop, and then he'll be a good enough player. He could be a good center. Otto Porter is whatever. Nobody really cares about Otto Porter, but whatever. It's worth it because you're blowing the team up. That's what's up. The next thing that's going on in terms of the Orlando Magic is the Aaron Gordon trade. Aaron Gordon to Denver Nuggets for Gary Harris and RJ Hampton. Yeah.
And probably a draft pick.
And a pick. Listen, these Magic, they're getting their draft picks up. But enough about the Magic. You guys already know they're getting their picks up. But the Denver Nuggets making a great trade. Can you imagine the kind of highlights that we're going to see from Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic? It's going to be amazing. That's an amazing pair. I think it's a really good thing that they paired them up, especially Jamal Murray there. So I think that they have like a nice, like not like a kind of big three situation going on there. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think the Denver Nuggets are even more solid than they were last year. And last year, obviously, they couldn't get over that Western Conference final hump. But I think now they have a much stronger chance of possibly taking on the Lakers or the Suns or whoever's going to be there in the end.
So I saw the Aaron Gordon trade coming because there was a lot of talking before the trade deadline between the Orlando Magic and the Boston Celtics, with Aaron Gordon going to the Boston Celtics, but obviously he ended up going to the Denver Nuggets. I think this is an amazing trade for the Denver Nuggets. They have a very young, solid core now with Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr., now Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. The Denver Nuggets are up and coming, man. They're already set. They've been to the playoffs the last couple of years. They have a very good team with Nikola Jokic. He's a MVP candidate. Some websites have him ranked number 1 because he's been averaging triple-double every game with his scoring, passing, and rebounding. So the Aaron Gordon trade is amazing for them. He will space the floor for them. Aaron Gordon also, he's also proved that he's just not a dunker. He can also be a leading scorer for a team. I think he showed that at times with Orlando, but once again, we haven't really seen much because Orlando is not a box office team, so nobody watches Orlando like that. But now that Aaron Gordon's going to a playoff team where the Denver Nuggets will be in the playoffs, we'll see more of Aaron Gordon showing out in the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll see, because some players, show up in the regular season and then don't show up in the postseason. But, this is his perfect opportunity to, show the world what he brings to a team. So, amazing trade for the Nuggets. And obviously, again, for Orlando Magic, they're in rebuilding mode. They got Gary Harris, they got RJ Hampton, and they got a draft pick. I don't know if it was a first. I'm assuming it was a first. Gary Harris, started off really well in his career, and then the last couple of seasons, injuries have really hampered him. So we'll see how that goes. RJ Hampton, I'm pretty sure the Nuggets just drafted him like last year or the year before.
No,
this year. So he's young, so maybe they can build off him. Maybe he can develop into a nice, two-way player. And a draft pick is a draft pick. You never know draft picks. You just never know with the draft period. So we'll see. Obviously, the bigger winner here is the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, of course, the bigger winner here is the Denver Nuggets. But honestly, the goal of the Magic here is not to win, and it's not to win in the anytime in the near future. Like you're not trying to be success. Like if I'm the Orlando Magic, I'm not looking at winning games. I really don't care about that right now. I care about just like starting over. We have nobody. We had nobody. We were just the middle of the team. Get to the bottom, whatever. You'll suffer for like 2 years, but then you'll be good again. That's why I think that it's great. I honestly wouldn't care what I'm getting in return as long as I'm getting future valuable assets like RJ Hampton could potentially be, because before I think he fell in the draft, but he's definitely a really good player and he has a lot of potential. The third and final trade that the Magic did, I think they actually did like a couple like not important ones, but the Magic made a trade with the Boston Celtics, giving up Evan Fournier from the Boston Celtics side. Now, listen, this little situation with the Boston Celtics, we talked about it last week. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. The Celtics have been absolutely garbage and underperforming completely. But now they have a solid person who could either come off the bench, or I think he's probably going to come off the bench. Yeah, but having him come off the bench is going to provide that scoring that you need, because he's that guy. He's really that's a really good sixth man, and I think that he's going to give the boost that the Celtics need to get back to where they were a couple of years ago, or last year rather. So I think it's a really good addition that the Celtics traded for him. So next up we got Victor Oladipo. He played 20 games for the Rockets and then off to Miami. Holy crap. This Miami team is insane. Like, actually insane. You look at their roster. Jimmy Butler, I love him so much. He's such an inspirational player. I want to be like him. Bam Adebayo, bro, I don't even need to talk about Bam Adebayo. He's literally one of the best centers in the game. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, they got that core. They got that great. Bye-bye Kelly Olynyk. Nobody cares about you. I'm just kidding, obviously. You're a great player. Because you're in the NBA, obviously. And now Victor Oladipo coming over there. Man, their roster is stacked. They're right up there with the Nets, with the Sixers. They're going to be competing. I wouldn't be surprised if they got to the finals. In general, the Heat were a finals team last year. and now they're adding another all-star, or not an all-star, but someone who's a really good player. I think that's a great addition, and I'm really happy that they're doing that.
So the Heat have a pretty stacked roster right now. They traded Avery Bradley, Kelly O'Clean, whatever his last name is.
Kelly Olynyk.
Oh, Kelly Olynyk.
Olynyk.
I don't care about. Nobody cares about him.
I care about him.
And probably a draft pick. And so Victor is a really good player. He's probably a defensive first guard, but he can also score. And he's one of the most underrated two-way players. His quadricep injury, kind of, hurt him a little bit. He hasn't really. He's shown flashes of his, before the injury, but he hasn't really put everything together. With everything this season has gone on, he got traded to the Rockets, and he probably didn't want to be there from the beginning. So he probably wasn't giving it all his best. On top of that, the Heat didn't give really much, for him. Several reasons for that is probably because, he hasn't been all the best this season. Two, he is a free agent after the season, so you don't want to, give up a lot of assets, for a guy who might leave, but I doubt that he's going to leave. The Heat's culture is amazing. Pat Riley has done an amazing job down there. Eric Spoelstra has done an amazing job down there. So they have a pretty solid team. I won't be surprised if they make it to the finals. Jimmy Butler. He's been an all-star. He's one of the best two-way players in the league, if not the best two-way player in the league in terms of what he does on the offensive end of the ball and defensive side of the ball. So good for the Heat, Good for them.
Let me tell you something. If the Knicks don't make the championship, well, which I will be surprised about, I'm going to be rooting for the Heat. Because honestly, I think that after last year competing with the Lakers, who have one of the best, if not the best player of all time, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and now they have Victor Oladipo, that just the culture, man. Like Jock said, the culture, the fight, the grit, the passion that they have in their heart is really something that inspires me. And honestly, I like sometimes I'm doing my homework and I'm like, man, I want to be just like Jimmy Butler. I want to be just. So next up, we have some injuries to talk about. So LBJ, LeBron, butter jelly. So LeBron James is injured. What does he have?
So LeBron James has a grade 3 ankle sprain or a high ankle sprain. Usually that's about a month to 6 weeks. This might hurt the Lakers a lot. It's already hurting them. I think they're on a 3-game losing streak already. On top of that, AD has been out with a calf injury for the last 6 weeks. So yeah, unfortunately, injuries is part of the game. It is what it is. You can't do anything about it. You just gotta adapt, and then you have to find ways to win as a team. I think the Lakers, when AD got injured, I remember that they went on a little skid. For a week they went on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Okay. This is not us. After the All-Star break, they adapted and they went on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak before LeBron went down. Now LeBron goes down. They're on a losing streak, so I'm not surprised if we struggle for a bit for the next month because LeBron and AD are arguably 2 of the top 5 players in the league. So it is what it is. Can't really do anything about it. It sucks right now.
So next up, there's an injury with Lamelo. Now, me and Jack have been waiting to talk about this since the injury happened, because the big question is this: the Hornets. I think they're about the 4th seed. They were doing pretty nice. One of the most amazing teams this season. Nobody expected that to happen, and then Lamelo gets injured. Why does everybody with get injured? I don't know. Maybe it's like the league is going against them or something. By the way, fun fact, everybody whose name is Gary in the NBA got traded today. You saw it? Yeah, mad cool. So, LaMelo got a wrist injury, and man, honestly, I'm looking at this Hornets team. I think that, because they're saying they're going to reevaluate LaMelo in a month. I'm not sure if that means he's going to be able to come back, but I doubt it. They said that he's probably going to be out for the rest of the season. LaMelo was the person who was pushing their team to be as great as they were. And I think that without him, they're gonna struggle a lot. They're gonna be, pretty bad. But they do have a really good team. They have a good team that's good enough that if they keep up the same momentum that they had with LaMelo, then they'll be okay. Honestly, they'll be okay. Even people like Cody Martin on their team, they're pretty solid contributors. And yeah, so I don't think people should start giving up hope on the Hornets. But again, it's gonna be really tough because LaMelo, he was the one, controlling everything. He picked up the pace of the Hornets. He motivated the Hornets, whether he did it verbally or on the court. And now it's just gonna be a little bit of a different ball game without him. So we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for them, honestly. I was really happy to see them shine, and I hope that they're gonna continue shining. So we'll see what happens.
Another injury news of the week is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the OKC Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander started off with the Los Angeles Clippers, and then he came over in the Paul George trade. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually has broke out this year. He's averaging 24 points per game. He's averaging like 8 assists, like 5 rebounds. He's a triple-double threat. And, he suffered a foot injury that's going to hurt, obviously, the Thunder. The Thunder are not in playoff contention, but he is their franchise player. He is their leader. He's a triple-double threat, like I said, and this will hurt them. Obviously the Thunder are building for the future. I saw a tweet saying that they have 34 draft picks in 7 years, so that's pretty crazy. They have 17. They have an even amount in the first round and second round. They have 17 in the first round and 17 in the second round. I even think they have the Rockets pick this season, which is.
Ooh!
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting Evan Mobley.
I think they have 2 picks in the top 10 if everything turns out okay. So the Thunder are obviously building for the future, and obviously they're gonna build around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he's one of the most probably exciting players in the league. Obviously, nobody knows much about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or they do. It's just nobody watches the Thunder right now. Because obviously they're in rebuilding mode, they don't really have marquee players like that. But in a couple of years, if they hit on the draft picks correctly, the Thunder will be back.
All right. So as per our new name, we'd like to introduce a new segment on our show as well. It's gonna be called Mike and Jock's Marquee Matchups, or Matchup. And this week's matchup, which is going to be happening tomorrow at 7 something. So by the time you guys watch this video, hopefully, unless you guys watch it after the game, whatever, up to you, as long as you watch the video. There's a game, Celtics versus Bucks, man. Celtics versus Bucks. Now listen, this is a very interesting matchup all the time. For the past 3 years, it's been a really interesting matchup. And last time, the Bucks won 121-119. The Celtics now, they have Evan Fournier. So if they do decide to play him tomorrow, which I'm not sure if they will, because sometimes they want the players to get used to the environment, whatever, the playbook, whatever. But if he does play, that's going to be a very interesting game. We'll see how he plays, and Giannis always comes out to play. He never gives up. But it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. But my pick for tomorrow is going to be the Celtics.
So. Like Mike said, Celtics Bucks tomorrow. The Bucks won yesterday, I think, or the day before. Very close. It wasn't close until the end. The Celtics started just chucking shots and they were making threes. So the Celtics, very very weird season for the Celtics. I'm actually pretty shocked that the Celtics are under 500. Their team is pretty good between Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Now Evan Fournier, Marcus Smart has come back. Robert Williams. So we'll see with the Celtics. I have the Bucks going for tomorrow only because Giannis, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez. They have I think more of a stronger team than the Celtics right now. I don't know what's going on with the Celtics right now. I don't know if it's chemistry issues or if something's going on in the locker room. I just truly don't know.
And here's another segment that we decided to implement. It's called Mike's Freestyle. Yo, mic'd up Mike. I hop on the mic. I know you like to watch our sports podcast. So make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share if you're bored and all that stuff. Anyways, guys, we'll see you guys in the next episode.